everybody. It's another broadcast of Jerusalem's Gate. I'm so glad that you tuned in. If anybody's been following Jerusalem's Gate, and if you haven't, I'd watch the last many videos. It's been concentrated on Russia taking a strong position and leadership in the oil-rich East, and the United States' presence in the oil-rich East decreasing. I've been preaching it, ladies and gentlemen. I promise you. I've been preaching it truthfully for a while now, that we are losing our position in the oil-rich East. Whoever controls the flow of oil, I've said this many times, whoever controls the flow of oil out of the East sets the market value of industry goods. Shipping, trucking, everything is based upon oil and gas. Whoever controls, and it doesn't take an economics professor with a PhD to figure it out. Whoever controls the flow of oil in the Middle East controls the world's economy. You start to see a slip in America's control over the East, the oil-rich East. You start to see Russia maneuvering in its way very carefully and getting allies. They got Syria, they got Iran. With this, I'm touching upon this on the video. You got the anti-U.S. cleric that was just elected into government. They're viewed as an occupation force, and you start seeing them getting movement of them pushing them out of Iraq. There's a lot of hard feelings in Iraq about the Bush government going in and destroying it and killing a lot of people under the pretense of weapons of mass destruction, which we know now they weren't. The video we're covering first is Russia's side. It's from RT. It's a video from RT. It's Russia's side. How the United States has fallen drastically in the leadership in the oil-rich East, and Russia raising up to one of the top levels in the oil-rich East. It's really a wake-up call. It's a smelling salt. We talk about the Iraqi looking at the United States Army that is still in Iraq as occupiers. They have feelings about what happened with the Bush invading that country, and those feelings are starting to rise to the surface. I'm going to preach it until I turn blue in the face, ladies and gentlemen, because God has put it in my heart to preach about it. I'm telling you. The last video I'm showing is just a quick show of force of the Russian nuclear submarine and the multi-launch missiles. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not just saying this to get popularity. We're a small Christian news network, but God has put it in my heart to preach about this. I'm telling you. I'm warning you right now that we're losing control of the oil-rich East. And Russia is filling that gap and start gaining allies and allies and allies and allies. Watch it. It's coming in a decade. They'll be in full control if something doesn't happen of the Middle East. And the United States will lose its control over the Middle East. Take it to the bank. It's going to happen. Give it a decade. At the very, very most, give it a decade. Watch this RT video, how they put it together. They do a wonderful job putting it together, marketing-wise. They do a wonderful job. But let's take a look at it. God bless you. Thanks, subscribers, so much. We're a small news. I say it all the time. We're a small Christian news network. But hey, we're growing, and thanks to people like you, we are getting the word out and the truth out with biblical foundation. We're praying for you and we're loving you. Here comes the videos right now. God be with us all.
You can see why Trump wanted a new Middle East strategy. The old one wasn't working. Allies are unhappy. People aren't waving American flags. Forecasts failed. Remember, for instance, when they proclaimed that Syria would be Russia's end, a new Afghanistan.
Russia will continue to send troops home in body bags.
These are hard lessons that the Soviet Union had to learn in Afghanistan. You don't have to dig back into ancient history to see how this is going to play out for the Russians.
Turned out it wasn't. It was killing jihadists and terrorists, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and all flavors thereof. Point in case, take this poll. Every year it asks Arab youths who their biggest allies are. In 2015, America was voted second friendliest country by Arab youth. Now it's 11th. Russia is fourth, despite or perhaps because of its intervention in Syria. But that's youth. What about the older folks?
Turkey's an ally, obviously, a strong partner, certainly with respect to ISIL, and a friend.
A NATO ally and a friend of the United States in a very turbulent part of the world.
Oh, America, I told you many times, you are either with us or all of these terrorist organizations.
It's a disaster. The United States is barely on speaking terms with a NATO ally, Turkey. They're withholding weapons. They're arming Syrian Kurds, the YPG, who are Turkey's sworn enemies. This friendship is dying, and Turkey thinks it can unite and lead the Muslim world, especially after Trump's stunt with moving his embassy to Jerusalem. That rubbed almost everyone the wrong way.
We condemn the U.S. decision on Jerusalem because of its great bias against the historical and permanent rights of the Palestinian people.
The United States' decision to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel is a dangerous one. It will threaten security and stability and frustrates efforts to resume the peace process.
With Trump bleeding allies, Moscow is making inroads with Ankara. Now, Turkey, Russia, and Iran gather regularly on Syria, and Trump isn't being invited. But hey, at least friends still buy American guns, right?
We signed historic agreements with the kingdom. This landmark agreement includes the announcement of a $110 billion Saudi-funded defense purchase. And we will be sure to help our Saudi friends to get a good deal from our great American defense companies.
That was Trump boasting before Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, America's chief ally in the Middle East, declared that it is buying Russian S-400 missiles, which Turkey is also doing. That's a new low for U.S. policy, and things aren't looking up.
You can bet there are no unfilled Russian ambassadorships in countries that matter to Moscow as there are today. Almost unbelievably vacant American posts in Egypt, Jordan, Libya, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Syria, Turkey, and of course Iran, where we have no embassy.
America's policy has been simple. Divide. Red versus blue. Shia versus Sunni. Friends versus enemies. Problem is, the world isn't black and white. There are grays, greens, browns, and purples, which Washington needs to recognize.
We're talking here about states or a region that has been heavily dependent on the United States in pretty much everything. Defense, economy, cars, technology, everything. And now people are thinking, you know, this is not reliable anymore, this is not an ally anymore, this is becoming more of an adversary. Definitely the shift or the huge shift in rhetoric between the Obama administration and the Trump administration has played a role to agitate people. But we need to understand that deep down in the policy there hasn't been much change.
Yes, my dear friends, this is the other article I was talking about. With the newly elected anti-U.S. cleric in the Iraqi government, start seeing a push to remove the United States occupying force, as they're called, from Iraq. And my prediction, this is my personal prediction, start seeing Russia on a greater scale getting involved in Iraq in the next near future. This is also out of Sputnik. U.S. forces still seen as occupying Iraq, Al-Sadr advisor says. The U.S. military presence in Iraq is still regarded as occupation of Iraqi territory,
as there is no more reason for his presence after the defeat of Daesh, said Muqtada al-Sadr, senior advisor. I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to start seeing Russia start taking an active role in getting closer to Iraq. And it's another sign of the slipping of my country, the United States of America's strength in the oil-rich East. Just wanted to get this out to you, ladies and gentlemen. On with the next video, a show of Russian force.